Introducing National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk programming that you can access 24/7. For the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring Sonia Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk for America.
Hey, and good morning. Welcome to the Dr. Sem Yankees Show. We are here every Saturday morning at 7 a.m., and then, of course, you can also find me with the great Dr. E.J. Fagan every Monday night at 9 p.m. on the Start Spreading the News Yankees podcast. Just a reminder that the Dr. Sem Show and the Start Spreading the News Yankee podcast are brought to you by Artemisia Publishing, a wonderful traditional publisher located in the good old United States of America. They specialize in books across a variety of genres, including many baseball books. There's a book there by Rob Skeed about Johnny Vandermeer, a book by Lincoln Mitchell about the 100 most influential baseball players of all time, and a few books about the Yankees by me. And another one coming that should come out in the fall of next year, 2025. Details to come. Hey, let's make today a great day. How can you make your day great? Well, the easiest way to make your day great is to look for the good and then appreciate the good. Notice it, appreciate it, cherish it, and then spread it around. Share the good with others. If you look hard enough, there's lots of good in lots of places all over. But if you're feeling particularly down and you say, I can't find any good anywhere, well, this is the beauty. You can make good, do something nice for someone else, and then there's good that you can recognize. Remember, when we give love and kindness and empathy and caring and understanding, all of those things come back to us in greater amounts than we ever gave. So give a lot today. All right, my friends, not much Yankees news. On Start Spreading the News, we've had a whole host of great articles. One ran yesterday, but I'm recording this before it even goes live. I have a question, and I don't want to get too much into it here because it's probably going to be discussed, I hope, at length in the comments. But in a general sense, I'll just give a little overview. You can then go to Start Spreading the News and write your comments there in the article. It's called Willie and the Breg. The 2017 Astros cheated. We know that. It was horrific. It was horrible. It was terrible. Alex Bregman was part of that team. There are Yankee fans that say, I never want him on the Yankees. Okay, that's fair, I guess. Sure, he cheated. But would you, if you had the opportunity to go back in time, and if there were free agency, would you want Willie Mays on your team? Or Bobby Thompson? Or Alvin Dark? Or Monty Irvin? Or Whitey Lockman? Or Sal Magley, I believe, was on that team. Any number of the guys on the 1951 New York Giants. Because they stole signs. They cheated. And I just have this sense that most people, if you asked them, would you want Willie Mays on your team? They'd say, of course I'd want Willie Mays on my team. How could I not want Willie Mays on my team? But if you would accept Willie Mays because he was on a team that stole signs enough to go to the World Series, really not unlike what the Astros did in 2017, why would you then be so opposed to Alex Bregman? And I'm not talking about skills or abilities. Or is it that Willie Mays' skills and abilities so transcend that you're willing to look the other way? Oh, I'll have that guy on my team who was on a team that cheated, but I won't have that guy on my team because he was on a team that cheated. I don't know. It seems to be somewhat of a straightforward question. It seems somewhat complex as well. People want to forget that the 2019 Astros were also accused of cheating, though I don't know if there was ever the full-scale investigation, but that was the whole thing with Jose Altuve and the buzzer. Did they cheat that year too? If they did, don't the Yankees have Garrett Cole on their team now? And isn't he a beloved Yankee? Don't we celebrate him? But he was an Astro, so why is it okay to get Garrett Cole? Or if you want an even more specific example, Cameron Maybin was on the 2017 Astros, and he was a Yankee. And by all accounts, as I remember, he was a beloved Yankee. Why was it okay to have Cameron Maybin? I just see, I think so often as fans, and we're all guilty of this on some level, I'm sure, but we find excuses, rationales, reasons to not want one player because he cheated for a reason we think is a good reason, but then we exclude other players for the same reason. Well, of course I want Willie Mays. Yeah, but he cheated. Yeah, that team cheated, but that's okay. He's Willie Mays. Of course I want Willie Mays, but I hate Bregman. No Altuve. No Carlos Correa. Like, we take a stand against some players, but we don't take that same stand against others. He cheated. All right. So again, I hope this is discussed at length and we can have a rich discussion in the comments when it goes live on yesterday at 2 p.m. I'm interested to see what people say. I know some people say there's different levels of cheating. Whitey Ford cheated. He admitted it in his own books. I scuffed up the ball. I think Yogi Berra and Elston Howard helped him with that. It helped him win a lot of games. It helped the Yankees win a lot of games. It probably helped the Yankees win championships. Is that type of cheating okay, but the type of cheating the Astros did not okay? Where do you draw the line? Well, one's just trying to get a competitive advantage and the other is using technology. I don't know. It sort of gets gray. My favorite player of all time, Greg Nettles. In 76, didn't he have a broken bat and have Super Bowls bounce out? That was not okay, or that is okay. Well, Nettles, he was just using illegal equipment. That's okay. You can't use illegal equipment that's electronic to tell the batter what pitch is coming, but you can use illegal equipment if it's going to help you hit the ball farther, or you think it's going to help you hit the ball farther. I don't know. So it's really an interesting question. And the last part about that is the Yankees in that same period were accused and had to pay a fine for electronic sign stealing somewhere 2015, 2016, 2017. I think they paid the fine in 2017. Why was there no outrage about that? Why haven't we as Yankee fans said, we want to know which Yankees cheated and we don't want them ever to be part of the Yankees again? No Bregman. But what if rookie Aaron Judge was part of that? What if that's found out tomorrow? And of course, it's just a speculation. But what if it were? Do you then say the Yankees should trade him? We don't want him on the team. He cheated. I don't know. It's so complex, but on some level, I think it's so simple. And finally, and I've said "and" a couple of times thinking I was done, but one other final point, Bregman and the Astros and the organization all went through an investigation. The punishment was handed out. And isn't that the way justice is served? Like, he served his time or whatever. He paid his penalty. The Astros as a team did whatever baseball decided the penalty is, even if they let him walk. And then don't we move on? Isn't that the way it's supposed to work? You found you did the wrong thing. You were talked to about it, or you faced a consequence, and then you move on. No? And has he done it since? Isn't that the sense of somebody who has learned their lesson? Or do we not allow him to ever learn his lesson? Can't be a Yankee ever because he did something bad 7 years ago, but he hasn't done it since, maybe after 2019, but he hasn't done it since, and so we can never forgive him. I don't know. I think it's complex. I think it's an interesting question, and I'm very eager to find out what the people on Start Spreading the News have to say about it in the comments. But since there's not a whole lot of Yankee news, I figured I'd do something I did last year. I got this old binder of 1977 Topps cards, and I figured it's just fun. I'll do it a little bit differently than I did it last year. I'm going to make this into a quiz. I'm just going to open to a random page. I'm going to pull out a random card. You can see I'm not even looking at the book. I'm having a hard time getting the card out. So I'm pulling out a random card, and I'm trying to cover the person's name. Oh, it's not going to really work that well because there's a paragraph about the person on the back of the card. But I'm going to read some things about the player, just a random player in the 1977 Topps set, and you see if you can figure out who the player is. And then hopefully I can dig back into my memories of baseball and players and legends and stories and tell a story about that player. Of course, I'm taking a big risk because there is a chance that I won't have much to say about that player because I won't know anything about him. But I'm hoping it becomes a player I know something a little about. And this player played for the San Francisco Giants. He was a switch hitter. He was an infielder. He came up in 1971 with the Astros, played on the Padres from 1972 through 1974. And then in 1975 and 76, he was a Giant. Looks like his lifetime batting average was about 246. Do you remember who that player was? An infielder. He's listed here as a second baseman. I don't believe he ever played for the Yankees, and I don't really have much to say about him. That's a shame. But if you guessed Darryl Thomas, you got him. So let's try another one, and let's hope this player is somebody I know something about. All right. I can't test myself because when I turn the card over, there's too much information. Oh, here's an interesting guy. This was a guy as a kid I remember watching play in the World Series in 1979. When I used to watch baseball, I guess even now when I still do, if there's a good player on another team, I'll often say, I wish that guy was a Yankee. Right? Like, I want the Yankees to have all the great players, of course, and always. But I never wanted them to have this player. Nothing against this player, by the way, but because he also, like Darryl Thomas, was a second baseman. And I was quite content with the second baseman on the Yankees, the great Willie Randolph. I had no desire for the Yankees to replace Willie Randolph. So even though this guy was a pretty good ball player, I didn't ever wish that he was a Yankee. Now, on this card, he's pictured as an Oakland A. He played second base. He played for the A's from 1973, I guess was his rookie year. He played 9 games that year. This is through 1976, of course. At that point, he had a 251 lifetime batting average. He had hit, it looks like 8 home runs, but it might be 6. The print is awful small. Next time I do this, Yeah, I don't have a magnifying glass within arm's reach. Next time I do this, I'll need a magnifying glass. This is what happens when you get old. All right, so he also played second base on the 1979 world champion Pittsburgh Pirates, the We Are Family team. Do you know who the player is? If you guessed Phil Garner, you are correct. If you had asked me what team is Phil Garner pictured on in the 1977 Topps set, I would have said the Pirates. I thought he was a Pirate by then, but he was still an A. All right, let's get another one. This is fun. I love just reminiscing about baseball history and old players. And the beautiful thing is these are my 77 Topps cards from when I was 9 years old, 8 and 9. That was the summer I turned 9 years old. So none of them are in great condition. So it's okay that I play with them. I once wrote a beautiful passage in a book called Impossible is an Illusion. If you haven't read that, you probably should. Many, many, many inspirational, thought-provoking, great essays. Anyone who's read Impossible is an Illusion comes back and tells me like, wow, you really made me think. That was deep. That was good stuff. Anyway, I wrote an article in there called Kintsugi. And I talked about how in Japanese culture, when things break, they mold them and put them back together with a gold lacquer that shows exactly where the breaks were. And how it's nice when we can embrace the fact that we're wrong and that we have to grow as human beings. But in our society, I draw the contrast. We work so hard to keep everything perfect and pristine. And I think as a result, we lose touch. You know, so many people sell baseball cards that are embossed in those hard plastics, and you can never have a personal interaction with the card because the card's behind plastic. For me, I'd much prefer to hold a card in my hand. I think we've lost something when we feel that our baseball cards and other items are so valuable that we can't even touch them anymore. I mean, I have some cards. Gotten rid of most of them, but I still have some cards that are, PSA graded and all that kind of stuff. I never enjoyed them much because they're behind plastic. You can't sort them the way you play with baseball cards, the way I did when I was a kid. Anyway, this guy I know nothing about. If you do, I'm impressed. His name is, you have to guess it, but he's a right-handed pitcher for the Minnesota Twins. Looks like he came up with the Twins first in 1974, pitched a little for the Twins in 75, was up and down with the Twins in Tacoma in 76. As of the printing of this card, it looks like he pitched in about 40 Major League Baseball games, maybe 94 innings with a 5-3 record, 3.06 ERA, not bad. Don't remember him at all. His name, if you can get this, you get extra credit. Tom Johnson. Now, it's not evening. It's not often when I play this game that I don't come across a guy who was a Yankee at some point. So let's hope this next card is a guy who played for the Yankees. This guy did not. But this guy, if I gave you the one hint, you'd get it. But I think this is an easy one. He's not a Hall of Famer. He's a legendary player in his own right for something he did. Anyway, for a couple things, actually, I believe you're going to get this. Let's see. If you can't get this one, maybe you didn't study baseball in the 1970s. He came up in 66 with the then Kansas City A's. Played with the A's with their move to Oakland through 1971. Spent a couple of years, looks like 5 or so with the Cubs after that. On this card, he's pictured as a Cub, a left-handed hitter, an outfielder, a first baseman. He once had RBIs in 10 straight games in 1969. Let's see if I can quite read it. Yes, I believe that's true. I believe he was the first player ever drafted in the free agent draft. Does that help you figure out who this player was? Never was a Yankee. Also had a famous moment when there was a protest and some fans were going to burn the American flag on the baseball field, he ran over and saved the flag from being burned. Do you know the player? I hope you do. His name, Rick Monday. Here we go. There he is, pictured on the Cubs. All right, let's hope we get a Yankee. We have time for a couple more of these. These are fun. It's always fun to study baseball history. Oh, this guy was a Yankee enemy. Never played for the Yankees, played against the Yankees in some big World Series. All right, so he was a Dodger. And if I tell you his position, you'll get it. But he teamed up as the shortstop with first baseman Steve Garvey, second baseman Davey Lopes, and third baseman Ron Say for one of, I think, the longest running infield group that played the longest amount of time together as a unit. This guy was the shortstop. I think he was a Dodger his whole career, but as of the printing of the card, he was a Dodger his whole career, starting from 1969. Also shares the name of a famous basketball player, some consider the greatest basketball player of all time. If you're a Yankee fan, a baseball fan in the 1970s and early 80s, of course, you're going to remember Bill Russell. But he was a Yankee enemy. Oh, my goodness. The shortstop on those Dodgers teams. The Yankees played the Dodgers in the World Series in 1977, and they played the Dodgers in the World Series in 1978. Yankees won both of those. They also played the Dodgers in the World Series in 1981, and that year the Dodgers got their revenge and beat the Yankees in the World Series. I remember 1981, I had youth group the night that the Yankees had lost the World Series, and I remember feeling very sad. I went to my bedroom, and I'm sure I was crying a little bit because I just couldn't understand how the Yankees could lose, especially to the Dodgers in the World Series. It was our birthright to win the World Series, and I figured they hadn't won in a couple of years. Since 78, it was time for the Yankees to win a World Series. And I remember feeling like miserable and like the world had ended and nothing could ever make me smile again. And then my mom said, "All right, Paulie, it's time for youth group." I'm like, "What? Youth group? No, they can't possibly have youth group. The Yankees just lost the World Series." She goes, "Life goes on, kiddo." I'm like, no, life doesn't go on. The Yankees just lost the World Series. I went to youth group. Here's a guy. He was a pitcher. He pitched for the A's. It was a right-handed pitcher. Again, this was basically probably his rookie card. He came up in 76. Don't know much about him. He was a right-handed pitcher. He pitched in like 142 innings in 1976. I don't know much to say about him. His first big league start, or his first big league shutout, he shut out the Chicago White Sox 5-0 on August 4th. He scattered 6 singles in the game. His initials are PM. I don't know if that helps. His name, Paul Mitchell. Move him over here. There we go. No glare. That's amazing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards, not one Yankee. By the way, regarding Juan Soto, I have the sense that Juan Soto will sign by next week. I don't know that. Of course, I don't have any inside information, but everybody seems to think it's going to happen by the end of the winter meetings, and I hope it does because I want things to move forward. This guy was not a Yankee, so I'm going to keep going until we get a Yankee now. Anyway, he was a pitcher for the Angels. Came up also in 1976. He was the surprise of 1976 Angels spring training camp. He made the club as a reliever, then was promoted to the starting rotation where he went 3-0 with a 1.54 ERA in the early going. His initials are PH. What are the odds? There weren't a whole lot of players whose first name was Paul when I was a kid. We just did Paul Mitchell, and this is Paul Hartzell. All right. I'm going to find a Yankee. Let's see if I can find one. All right, here's a good one. This guy played for the Yankees. Let's see if you can get him. I believe this is also his rookie card. He came up in 1976. He was a catcher. He was a switch hitting catcher. Played for the Twins, so he did not come up with the Yankees. He played for the Twins. I also believe later on in his career, he was an Angel. He might have been a White Sox as well. He actually had his first major league homer at Yankee Stadium as a member of the Twins. He was a solid player. I remember him on this card. He has a 260 lifetime batting average. I remember him as about a 270, a 275 hitter. I think he played for the Yankees for about 3 years in the mid-'80s, maybe 2.5 years. Pretty good catcher, pretty good ball player. His initials were BW. Do you remember Butch Weiniger? All right, I think we have time for one more. I'm going to, again, make sure I pull a Yankee. Have to just find the page where there is a Yankee. Oh, wow. Oh, all right. There's 2 here on this page. We'll take them both out, and that'll probably be the end. I remember when the Yankees got this guy. Left-handed pitcher. He pitched for the Yankees in 1980. And in 1980, the Yankees starting rotation consisted basically of just left-handed pitchers, at least their top 4 pitchers. I'm drawing a blank on who their 5th starter would have been in 1980. Maybe Luis Tiant in the beginning of the year. I'm not quite sure. But their top 4 starters were all lefties. Ron Guidry, Tommy John, Rudy May, and this guy, who I think he was only a Yankee for that 1 year. I believe he was traded after that year. He was a left-handed starting pitcher. He came up with the Phillies, pitched in 1974, in the majors and the minors, but 1975 and 1976 with the Phillies. Better pitcher than I think most people remember him. You know, he wasn't great, but he was a solid left-handed pitcher. Do you remember? Initials TU, Tom Underwood. And this will be our last one. This one every Yankee fan will get. The Yankees got him. He had won the Rookie of the Year with the Cleveland Indians, I believe, in 1971. He was a slugging first baseman who came to the Yankees for the 1974 season, remained with the Yankees through 1979. He was then part of a trade that went to the Blue Jays. That might have been where Tom Underwood was in that trade. That might have been part of that trade because I think he pitched for the Blue Jays in 79 as I think about it. But the main guy coming back in that trade was catcher Rick Cerrone. The Blue Jays then flipped this player to the Atlanta Braves, where he played for numerous years and had some of his best seasons of his career. A first baseman, left-handed hitter. And in 1976, he hit the walk-off home run that sent the Yankees into the World Series. That's an easy one to end on, my friends. The great Chris Chambliss. All right, so let's hope next week we can dig deep and dive into the Juan Soto signing, however much it is, whatever team he goes for, whatever team he goes to, however it all works out. It should be fun. In the meantime, thank you for watching. Make every day great. Give love. Give it frequently. Kindness, empathy, understanding. Be a good person. When you are a good person, somehow the world is a better place for you and for all the people around you. Have a great day.